Crystal, hi.
Hey,
Hello, how are you?
good, how are you?
Not too bad. How did you find the place all right?
Not too bad.
Yeah?
Surrey's great.
Got here okay. Do you drive or public transportation?
Drive.
Drive? Okay, so a little easier than public transportation, I find, in the city. So have you ever been, before we begin, have you ever been in any type of counseling before? Are you familiar with it?
I've been in counseling off and on. It's been a while, but
Okay, and you're new here, so I'm sure you've gone through confidentiality forms, but I'm just going to kind of do a refresher and get you to sign one here as well.
okay.
So it's Durham Mental Health here. So thank you for coming in. And everything you say here, there's client counselor confidentiality, so nothing will be shared unless there is under 4 different situations. I would have to break that confidentiality. The first one is if there's a serious risk of you yourself harming yourself or others, I have to report that. If it's a serious, like, present risk. If there's any harm or neglect or abuse to anyone under the age of 16 by yourself or in your story and whatnot, I will have to report that as well. If I'm subpoenaed by the court, if my notes are ever asked for by the court, I'm obligated to hand those over. And also, when sharing, if any kind of assault or inappropriate behavior from a healthcare practitioner has happened, I also have to report that. Do you have any questions so far of what I've gone over?
No.
No? Okay, if you feel comfortable with everything that I've said, and by all means, if questions come up for you over the next few weeks, if you do come back and whatnot, bring them up then and we can go over them. I'll just have you sign that we went over it. Thank you. Okay, so why don't you tell me a bit about yourself if you're comfortable. What brings you in here today?
Well, kind of my sister. She is mad at me. Well, not mad at me, I guess, really, but she found out that I've been struggling more than I let on to her, and found out that I started cutting again, and she essentially said that she doesn't want to talk to me anymore if I don't go and get help because it's too triggering for her. So I think it's more her problem than mine. But
I understand. My first question, and I hope I don't overstep by any means, I understand the soothing process that cutting does give to some people. My first question, just before we move forward, when you're cutting, is there any intent or ideations of taking it too far, of suicide in those cuttings? Or is it just for the relief of the pain that it provides?
it's pretty much just for the relief.
Okay.
Just that bring me back down to earth kind of thing.
Yeah, and I am familiar with that behavior, and it's not that uncommon. I just wanted to make sure, just that there was a serious risk to yourself. Okay, so it sounds a bit like your sister's forced you in here.
Yeah, she's my only family,
Mhm.
and so she knows that she can push my buttons and whatever she says kind of goes. So when she said that she wasn't going to talk to me anymore, that's like a really big threat because she's all I've got.
Okay, so you're really concerned about that relationship that you do have, and that this behavior might come in the way of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a bit more on that note, just to gather a bit more information. I call them the 5 L's just to keep them straight in my head, and just really straightforward. Has the cutting or the behavior affected anything else in your life, your love life, social life, livelihood, your job or school or whatever it is that you are committed to at the moment? Your livelihood, that's what I just said, any legal issues, and then liver, representing your health. Just as an L,
Yeah.
it helps me as an L to say liver, but generally your health in general.
Other than having to get stitches a couple of times, my health has been okay. There's been no infections or anything. So I am really good at taking care of them, like when I do it, because it's kind of a momentary thing, and when it's done, it's like, oh my God, what did I do? And so I'm really good at cleaning it up.
Certainly.
I've had to go to the hospital a couple times to get stitches. Other than that, it's been fine, no infections. With my livelihood, I've ended up having to quit my job. Not entirely directly because of the cutting, but because of all the emotional stuff that's going along with it. And I've been skipping school as well because of all the stress. And I'm afraid that somebody's going to find out at school. And so the day after I've done it, I'm like, oh, I don't want to go because what if it starts bleeding and it bleeds through and somebody sees? And I'm like, I don't want to see that. So I'm like, I'm skipping school a lot, and that's kind of impacting my grades because I'm not there. So I don't, and just participation alone is such a high thing in this particular class. So
Certainly.
it's not been great.
And you spoke a bit about your relationship with your sister, so
Yeah, and she's also worried about my daughter, and if she found out, because she hasn't found out yet, and if she found out, she's only 18, so if she found out, that could be upsetting for her. So yeah, it's having not just the cutting directly, but all the stuff that's led me back to cutting, because I used to cut and now I'm back cutting. So all the stuff that goes along with that is kind of.
you made mention there, sorry to interrupt, but you made mention there that your sister's worried about your daughter finding out. Do you share those worries about your daughter finding out?
That's the last thing I want is for my daughter to find out. She's 18, and I try to protect her as much as I can. Like, it's obvious that I've had issues, but I try to protect her as much as I can from as much of my problems as I can.
So, and it's affected your work, having to quit the job and
Yeah.
affecting school. And are those things kind of goals that you do want to get back to?
Well, I can't keep skipping school, and work is the end result of school. I can cope right now with, I hope, with not having that income of work, but I can't, I put so much work into this school stuff, so I can't keep missing. Like, I need to really get back. My mind has been so all over the place, and just, I need to get back on track, I
Okay.
guess.
And finances can be a huge stress. Is that something that you've already reached out to social aids and whatnot? You are
I
connected?
have.
Okay.
I've had some appointments this week, and I've been doing the best I can with that, and just trying to see what my options are.
Okay. So that's a lot on the plate. That's stressful enough to make someone reach out to different behaviors and whatnot to try and help.
It feels like when it rains, it pours for me. So.
Yeah, and that, again, that's really common as well. It seems to be the old adage. If you have any Irish in you, that Murphy's
I am
Law.
Irish.
There we go, the Murphy's Law, right? What can go wrong will go wrong.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, and that is a part of life. So if you're willing, maybe we can work together and kind of work through some of that together.
I just don't see how it's possible. It took me 5 years to get over it last time. I don't know if I have the strength to do it again. As I've been doing it for probably about 4 or 5 months now, and I feel like I'm just right back into old habits.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's possible to break that again. It feels like I never stopped.
Okay. So from what I'm hearing a bit, it's affected your work, it's affecting your school, which affects your goal for future work. And it's affecting those loved one relationships, both with your sister who knows about it, and is it a fair assessment to say that it might be already affecting your relationship with your daughter, hiding something that big, even if she doesn't know what it is?
Yeah, because we don't usually keep very many secrets.
So is it possible that there's still already something that could
She
be
might even
bothering
already
that
know,
relationship?
she just won't tell me she knows. I don't know. But as far as I know, she doesn't know.
Okay. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how important are those relationships to you?
They're 10. Those are my two, like, bang on 100%. I need those people in my life, or I just can't survive.
Okay. And on a scale from 1 to 10, how committed are you to that behavior of cutting as a soothing technique or as a coping mechanism?
At this moment, I don't see what else I don't have anything else. I don't know what else I could do. I just feel like I'm gonna cry just talking about it. I don't know what else I'm gonna do.
That's okay if you do.
I don't know. So I'm getting spacey. What?
That's okay. Would you be able to put a number from 1 to 10 how committed you are to that behavior of cutting as a coping or soothing mechanism?
How?
0 being not committed at all. It's just something you leisurely do.
I don't know. It's
10
probably
being
an 8.
absolutely hands down, never give it up.
It's probably an 8 right now.
So an
It's
8.
back up high.
And again, understandable. Our behaviors, whether it's an action or something that we take to alleviate it's what we have learned works. And it works for something at some point and might have been the only way out.
Sorry.
And from what it sounds like, it is important to you. You need that coping or soothing mechanism. And you're relying on cutting at the moment. But the relationships that it might harm are more important just by the simple scaling questions we did. And the goals, the future goals. If we applied the same question, how important is the future goal of like what the credentials of school will give you to get in a new job and a new career, 0 to 10? What number would you be able to apply?
I want to say 9, but at the moment, they're probably only a 6 or a 7.
6 or a 7? Okay. But 6 or a 7, why not a 4 or a 5?
Because I've been working my ass off to get this done for the last however many, like 5 years. So yeah.
So it is still important.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got a lot of reasons to maybe try and find a different behavior if you're willing to maybe work together over a few weeks and whatnot.
Behavior makes a thought.
And we can move at your pace and work together as we move along.
It's just so easy and so convenient and so there, and it's just what I've always had.
Mhm.
I've been doing it since I was 14, except for I guess like the 15-year break that I took.
What event do you think really brought it on this time? Was it just the multiple things kind of piling up together, or?
I think an assignment. Well, it wasn't an assignment, but I thought it was something we're supposed to watch. Combined with the trauma class that we're taking with the 13 Reasons Why, watching that and then having trauma class, I have been highly triggered ever since that.
Okay.
I have a really extensive history of sexual abuse and emotional and physical abuse, but and that was a serious trigger for me. And it doesn't help that I just watched another rape incident, a male rape, last week, and I'm like, great, how am I going to get through this? And so, yeah, I didn't cope well with that either.
Are these all things that you're having to watch for school?
I didn't know that it was going to be, it was about a gay guy and his struggle, and so I thought, oh, this will be fine, because I was like, I'm interested in this stuff, I'm just learning about who I am. Well, not just learning, but like I'm kind of just learning, just allowing myself to be who I am. I guess is more how it is, because I know who I am. It's just allowing myself to be that person. And so I'm like, oh, and being interested in, what has his journey been like, and how is it for him? And so I went to watch this movie, and that's how his life started, was with being raped. And I'm like, really? I did not know this. And so I was highly triggered, and of course it was like, oh, this is not what I needed. And so it's been like 3 days, and that's all I can think about. And it's like a massive trigger for me.
Completely understandable.
And I don't know what to do with all those feelings that well up, and the cutting just brings it all back down to where it feels manageable.
That's one of those really unfortunate things about triggers is, and again, correct me if I'm wrong for you, because everyone is different, but I found with a lot of clients, if they had gone to see that movie and had been warned ahead of time, and just the preparation, some might not have gone, but some who do go feel less triggered just having that morning and whatnot.
Maybe,
And-
I would have avoided, in all honesty, I would have avoided.
And that's perfectly within your right and a perfectly acceptable way to handle a known trigger that's about to come at you, right? And it's just, that's the really shitty thing about triggers is the worst ones come at you when you don't expect it and you can't plan for them.
And that's the one thing that seems to be my worst trigger that I haven't dealt with, because the last time that I tried to deal with that, I was told, well, it's just as much your responsibility as it was his.
Okay.
So I won't talk about it.
Well, whoever said that to you that was an inappropriate response, and I'm sorry that you had to share that with someone and have them respond in such a way. That a lot of times impedes our ability to, again, go forward and seek other counseling or other help or sharing our story with anyone else. So just knowing that, I want to thank you again for coming in and let you know how brave it is to step forward and try and regain that trust with someone, especially a complete stranger. So thank you. And thank you again. And again, moving forward, if ever it does become uncomfortable having a male as a counselor or anything like that, your best interests and your goals are what are important here, and we can set you somewhere else up with the agency, so on and so forth. We'll visit that when time comes. I just wanted to make sure as we move forward in this first session, I want to let you know that your comfort, your safety is number one and paramount to moving forward. You said that you've been in counseling before, so I'm sure that you do understand that, but I'm just letting you know again. So just to kind of recap and go back, you do have that goal set for completing school.
Yeah, I'm pretty close.
And you did rate it high, not quite as high as the reliance on the cutting, but then you also did rate the importance of your loved ones, especially your sister and your daughter, much higher than that. So would it be fair to say that at least part of you is willing to at least look at options at this point? Maybe not put anything into action, but just discuss options, discuss maybe ways forward to alleviate the cutting?
It's not that I don't, it's just I can't see a life without it right now.
Okay.
I don't see what else. I can't even I tried to go back and think of how did I stop last time, and I can't even remember. I don't know why there's a block there, but I can't even remember why I stopped last time.
Yep. So what's something else that you would want out of this therapy? What's another goal that we can kind of aim for? If not taking out the cutting completely, if we reduce it, or maybe put something in place of it. I'm just brainstorming. I'd like to hear from you if you've got any ideas or any other goals that you want to work towards, and leave the cutting alone for a bit and come to it when we're ready.
I found that.
Can I ask a different question?
Okay.
Okay. Just looking forward in the next month, do you still see yourself in the same place you are right now?
In all honesty, I'm afraid it's only going to get worse. It feels like it's rapidly getting worse. Because it was just, a couple times a week, and it's every day now.
Okay, and looking forward, same scenario, just a really small time frame, a month. If things got better, exceptionally better, what would that look like? What might you think some of your coping mechanisms might be in that place? You mentioned that your sister does know about it. Has she been supported in the past?
Yeah, she's my go-to.
Yeah.
I guess I could call her when, she's the one who wants me to stop, and she doesn't want me doing it. And I could call her and say, so I need you to be kind of like almost my sponsor, and when I'm feeling like it, can you be there for me, when I'm having these big urges and everything, can you help talk me down? That'd be a good way to do it, but let's see what she has to say about that.
Have you used that in the past before?
I think without directly asking her, I think I kind of do that sometimes. But I've never actually said, you know, it's hard for me to ask, but I need your help.
And those are some of the hardest things sometimes to say.
Yeah.
And it's those three-word sentences that sometimes are the most impactful, right?
Yeah. But I've noticed that I've gotten away from a core part of me, and I wonder if I got back to that, if maybe getting in touch with that part of me again would be helpful. Because I used to like be practically an author. Like I used to write all the time. A lot of journaling, just a lot of not storytelling, but like telling my story and just getting it out. And then I'd like print it out, rip it up, and then kind of it'd be gone, it'd be done, it'd be just my way of getting it out of me. I wonder, but I haven't done that in like months. I wonder if I got back to kind of getting in touch with that, and if I don't have that kind of like an outlet anymore, and if that stopping all that and stepping back from that has been what's made it so that I can't cope. I don't know if that makes sense.
So, did you ever find that there were certain times that really drove that passion to sit down and write? Was it something like what fueled that passion in the moments where it felt like you needed to get what you needed down on paper right away?
A lot of the times when I felt triggered, I would write it out.
Okay.
So it was my way of getting it out of me, and I don't know, owning it or disowning it is exactly the way it was, but just kind of just getting it out, and then it's there, and then if I wanted, I could print it out so that I could rip it up and destroy it and it not be part of me anymore. Because I'm not that, little girl that was hurt, and I am, but I'm not.
Okay, so it sounds like you're willing to try and get back to a bit more writing.
Well, I think that's the piece that's missing when I think about it. I don't know, it scared me. But that when I'm trying to think about, and I'm gazing at the window, but it's because my thought process is I'm trying to think. What's different now? Because I've been 15 years without it. So what's different now? And I just haven't really sat down and thought about it. That is one of the major things. I'm not connected with that part of me. I haven't written anything in probably a year and a half.
Okay, so, and just going back to that scaling question, how committed or how desirable do you want to see that behavior of cutting as a coping mechanism change?
Like 9, like 10, like I don't like it. It doesn't, I like it in the sense that like it brings everything down to a manageable level, but I don't like it because then people are asking questions. If they see it, they ask questions.
Certainly.
And then I feel self-conscious. I feel like my self-esteem drops. I feel like people are judging me, and then I'm judging myself. It's just a vicious circle.
Okay, well, if you're willing to meet again next week, if you're willing to maybe explore the option of, not the option, I don't want to say that, the idea of, if you feel triggered throughout the next week, to attempt to sit down and write that out first. If still you end up cutting, whatnot, right after that event, write down some things, your thoughts and emotions as well after the cutting. There's not going to be any judgment of whether, I'm not looking for a success or a fail here. Not at all. Just with this information, we can explore a bit of the emotions and the triggers specifically that drive you to it. If you manage to write things down before or even afterwards in retrospect, the behavior might still be there at this moment because it's something that you've relied on. It's something that that is a part of you, that you don't want it to be a part of you, but it is. And that's okay. It's a part of a lot of people. So if we write down kind of our thoughts and emotions, maybe it alleviates that trigger. Maybe it alleviates a bit of the emotion that the cutting doesn't happen. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe the cutting still happens. And then we write another piece afterwards. It doesn't have to be exceptionally long, but from that information, we kind of look at your emotions before and afterwards. And then we might be able to look at it together and find out a better way forward. Even if you call your sister in that time, write about that. And then that way we just might be able to find something that works a bit better for you as we continue down through the weeks. Does that sound something you're willing to try? And again, I'm not looking for passes or fails of whether or not you cut or don't cut, or whether or not you write a lot or write one sentence. And if it happens to be the next day after a cutting event that you feel like you want to write something down, that's okay too. Just a bit more information about the emotions and those really deep-seated triggers, those core beliefs that come up for you during those events. Does that sound agreeable?
I'll give it a shot, yeah.
It doesn't sound too pressurizing or anything else, because the
No.
last thing I want to do, you already mentioned that schoolwork and assignments. And I've been through the school and I've been through the assignments and it's shit. The last thing I want to do is add another assignment to you. So I really want to lay this out and structure it with you in a way that it's not an obligation and that it's not something that's going to be due. If it's something that you keep track of really well in your head, maybe it's just a verbal account during our next session. But the more information, the more we might be able to devise kind of a path more specific to you moving forward. That sound about okay?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So can I count on seeing you next week?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay, thank you again, Crystal, so much for coming in and sharing all that with me. I know it's not easy, and it's not always pleasant ripping that Band-Aid off. So, okay, you take care today and for the rest of the week, and I hope to see you next week.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.